Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Mustang Arena for varsity basketball competition. Please welcome our guests from Leesburg High School. They are the Yellowjackets. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Before we begin our game this evening, we ask that you please stand and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. And now let's meet the teams, beginning with our guests from Leesburg, and we'll start with 6'4" senior number 1, DeAndre Seward. 5'10" junior number 3, Devin Graham. 6'3" senior number 10, Akeem Nickerson. 6 foot senior number 11, Mike Floyd. Make that number 15, Mike Floyd. And finally, 6'5" senior number 23, Jair McLeod. The head coach of the Jackets in his 8th year at Leesburg, Mr. Sean Campbell. And now let's meet the starting lineup for your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Starting at point guard with 5'10" sophomore, number 3, Jamarick Hammond. At shooting guard, 5'10" junior, number 4, Quadri Roberson. At shooting guard, 6 foot junior, number 10, Isaiah Lester. At power forward, 6'2" junior, number 12, Nikhil Edward. And finally for the Mustangs at power forward, 6'3" junior, number 21, Asael Caballero. And the head coach of the Mustangs in his 6th year at the helm of Wekiva, Mr. Jacino Lubin. The officials for tonight's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. For those of you who have friends and family back in Leesburg, elsewhere in Apopka, or anywhere in the world who are not able to join us in person tonight, you can direct them to the NFHS Network or to our YouTube channel. We are Wekiva Sports on YouTube, on your favorite computer, mobile device, or smart TV. And a warm welcome to those of you joining us on the webcast. My name is Mark Parchi, the voice of the Mustangs, and I am joined as always by Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief on a somewhat electric atmosphere here on Monday Night Basketball. I think the JV game got this crowd warmed up pretty well, Neil.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Of course, you can hear it here. The place is jumping. Leesburg is a team that always travels very well, even though from a county, the county next to Orange. And as we get ready here, of course, Mark, Wekiva is still looking for its first victory of the season.
Mike Floyd puts the Jackets on the board.
So Wekiva is still looking for its first victory of the season here. They were 0-3, actually 0-4, excuse me. 3 of the 4 losses, the last 3, as we get a turnover, have been losses that actually occurred after Wekiva was leading in the 4th period. So real quick, of course, Wekiva played Boone on Saturday. It was a doubleheader. Well, actually, it was a quadruple header, 2 JV and 2 varsity games.
Akeem Nickerson with a short jumper for the Jackets.
Both the boys and girls JV played, and then both the boys and girls varsity played. And The varsity boys team, they had a 5-point lead with about 2.5 minutes left, 3 minutes to go, and then they had a rash of turnovers.
Jackets foul is called against number 15, Mike Floyd. That's his first personal foul, the team's first.
So again, Mark, a rash of turnovers. I know it started with 5 consecutive possessions, which ended with a turnover. And, you know, as I like to say, you don't have to be a basketball guru to understand if you're not holding on to the ball and you're giving the ball to the other team, you're probably not going to win.
Hammond decided he didn't have anything. He'll go outside to Bryan instead. Roberson takes the shot, and it's anemic. Rebound goes to McLeod.
And, of course, Mark, it's important to mention, if you're just joining us for the first time or maybe you're not familiar with the Mustangs, this year's team is very young, about as young as can be. Nobody from last season's team who saw significant time returns.
No, we've got all underclassmen on the starting lineup, just one senior in total on the team. And here we're going to get Shire McLeod on the pass from Nickerson.
And
so the first 6 points belong to the Jackets.
Yeah, obviously not the start the Mustangs want. It'd be difficult. Leesburg's always a very difficult team to play. They've won multiple state championships. Of course, we got to see them about 10 days ago at the Metro versus Florida Challenge. And to be honest, this really is not the team that we saw, at least in the first 2.5 minutes.
No, certainly not. And the Mustangs looking to get some momentum going here early in this game.
And again, I meant this isn't the same Leesburg team. The Leesburg team we saw at Metro versus Florida was actually an even quicker pace. And that's their calling card. It's always been that way under Coach Campbell. As you mentioned, Mark, he's there. This is his 8th season. As I mentioned, they've won a couple of state championships. They're not only expected to make the state playoffs, but they're expected to win and go deep into the playoffs using that up-tempo trapping. Force the team went on offense into a lot of mistakes that create transition style.
And we're aware that there's no motion on the camera. We're working on that. Devin Graham picks up 3 for the Jackets. Our regular staff is not available tonight, and so we're searching for a substitute camera operator. Jared Bryan on the pass from Q Roberson.
So again, Mark, not the start that Wekiva would want. Oh, got some up and down there. Ball passed over into the corner and a mental mistake.
Checking into the game for the Mustangs, Prince Daniel and Tristan Bryan.
Basically didn't know what to do with the ball once he got it, made the decision once he was in the air. Both teams in man-to-man. As I mentioned, that is the calling card of Wekiva. I mean, both teams, but Leesburg has used that man-to-man defense to the tune of a couple of state championships. And, of course, one of the state's premier teams.
Roberson can't get the long jumper to go. Foul is called against number 15, Mike Floyd. That's his second, the team's second.
And again, Mark, I mentioned, of course, following up on what you said about this being a very raucous night here. Leesburg travels very well. Their cheerleading squad actually made the trip along with the team.
Foul is called against number 20, Damani Nettles. That's his first personal foul, the team's third.
So again, Leesburg remaining in the man-to-man defense. And Wekiva so far has been doing a fairly decent job of moving the ball around here. in the perimeter. They haven't really been able to drive, though. We had a turnover here.
Well, I'm going to put that down as a block by Nickerson. I'm going to say that was shooting motion. And here we're going to get a charge. Offensive charge is called against number 1, DeAndre Seward, his first, team's fourth. Prince Daniel for 3 on the pass from Jared Bryan.
Much needed tray there for Wekiva.
And again, we are trying to get somebody to operate that camera. I do it myself, but my arms are not long enough.
So again, as we mentioned, Leesburg is known for playing an up-tempo style. Of course, that's the style nowadays, but even more so than the average. And if you don't stay close to them in the early going, they can run you out of the building.
Missed dunk from Nickerson. Daniel on the rebound will go the other way.
Couple of mistakes here by Leesburg, giving Wekiva an opportunity. So Wekiva shooting only 22% from the field as we draw towards the end of the first half. 57% for Leesburg.
Donovan Stokes steals 2 for the Mustangs.
And of course, we mentioned nobody on this year's team saw significant time on last year's team. But we do have 3 returning players, Stokes being one of them. And there you saw the experience.
Foul is called against Leesburg, number 20, Damani Nettles. His second, the team's 5th.
And after giving up the first 9 points, Mark, we have a 9-7 ball game. Certainly looks like Wekiva has settled in, found its footing, so to speak here. Again, I know you can't see it. Now we do have a camera operator. So you saw there that open tray that was taken by Hammond. Again, a much smoother ball movement than we saw in the first 4 minutes or so.
In trouble. Good work on defense, except I think Hammond took it a step too far there. Or no, excuse me, that's going to be Daniel.
Who?
Prince Daniel is called on the push. That's his first personal foul, the team's first.
Yeah, got too aggressive there.
Foul is called against Donovan Stokes, his first, the team's second. At the line, shooting 2, Damani Nettles.
So Nettles has yet to score any points. This is actually his first free throw or field goal attempt. So again, Mark, what was a 9-0 lead has been now trimmed down to 3, 1 possession. Wekiva's gotten some better looks here the last 3 minutes or so.
Well, that won't help, though. Stokes is called for, or excuse me, Bryan is called for traveling. Jackets ball.
Yeah, again, the inexperience at the varsity level comes to roost there. Unforced error. Wekiva now, as we mentioned, likes to go full court man, or likes to go man to man. That's really the calling card of Coach Lubin's philosophical approach. But now they're going full court man to man.
5 seconds closely guarded. Mustangs ball. And so Jair McLeod picks up the steal there.
And since Wekiva's gone to full court man-to-man, Leesburg has actually turned the ball over 3 times.
Prince Daniel for 2.
Nice move there by Daniel, kind of a stop and go up and under at the same time. Used his body very well.
Hold is called against number 3, Devin Graham. His first personal foul, the team's 6th. And so the Mustangs will enjoy bonus for the entire second quarter.
Yeah, Mark, the one advantage Wekiva does have here. And you know what? Wekiva has an opportunity to take the lead. As we mentioned, they fell behind 9-0.
Foul is called against number 10, Akeem Nickerson. That's his first personal foul. And the team's 7 that puts the Mustangs into bonus. Tristan Bryan at the line shooting 1-1. But first, checking into the game for the Mustangs, Jalen Hicks.
So Bryan at the line, he has yet to score. He's only taken 1 field goal attempt. And again, Wekiva, after falling behind 9-0, can take a lead here.
Bryan hits the first, and he earns a second.
And before we get to the end of the first quarter here, as Wekiva does finally take the lead, just like to point out, Wekiva's 0-4 as we get a turnover.
Stolen basket by Jalen Hicks.
And Wekiva is 0-4. However, the last 3 losses, Wekiva had a lead going into the fourth quarter. So it's not like Wekiva's a team that's getting blown out. They just are having trouble holding on to the lead. In other words, this isn't a surprise that they can play toe-to-toe with Leesburg.
30-second timeout called by Leesburg. We'll be right back.
Who scored that?
All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. Interesting choice there to take the timeout with likely only 1 possession left in the quarter, but Coach felt like his team was mentally just not there and needed a quick wake-up call.
Yeah, a couple quick turnovers there.
That takes us to the end of the first period, and the Mustangs, thanks to some quick action there at the end of the period, are on top by 3. It's a 13-10 lead for Wekiva at the end of the first quarter. We'll be right back. The Mustangs have the opening possession of the second period. Welcome back to Mustang Arena. Mark Parchi here with Neil Fisher, ready to take you through our second 8 minutes of what looked like it might have been trouble for the Mustangs early, and they're able to get back in this one.
Yeah, a 10-2 run there to close out that first quarter. And quick look at the stats here. Leesburg shooting 50%, 4 of 8 from the field, 33% for Wekiva, 4 of 12. But I can tell you, really the stat that's really sticking out here is the turnovers. Leesburg had 7, Wekiva with only 2. And as we mentioned, Wekiva lost to Boone on Saturday after giving up a rash of turnovers.
Jalen Hicks from Tristan Bryan for 3.
Who? 23.
23.
So Wekiva had a 5-point lead with about 4 minutes left in the ballgame against Boone on Saturday. They then turned the ball over, I believe it was 8 times in the last 10 possessions. I know after they had that 5-point lead, they did it for 5 straight possessions, and that was really the story of the loss. Again, getting back to the night, at least for the first quarter, they've rectified that mistake, only 2 turnovers.
Bryan's 3 is off the mark. The rebound goes to Nickerson.
In Leesburg, complete opposite. They started off good. They only had a couple turnovers as well, and then they turned the ball over 4 times in the last minute and 15 seconds or so. And as you mentioned, Mark, that really turned the tide for Wekiva there, spearheaded that 10-2 run. They went from 3 to 7 in the last 75 seconds or so.
Mike Floyd down the baseline for a Jackets layup.
So again, looking at the other stats, Leesburg with an advantage on rebounds, 8-4.
Double dribble violation. Jackets ball into the game for the Mustangs. Hammond, Roberson, and Laster.
And free throws were equal. Both teams took 2 attempts. Leesburg made 1, Wekiva made 2. And that, of course, all adds up to a 16-12 lead for Wekiva.
Out of bounds, Mustangs ball.
So again, Mark, the turnovers continue here for Leesburg.
Yeah, to use a football analogy, the receiver did not run his route.
Yeah, and this is something of a surprise. If you don't follow Central Florida high school basketball, Leesburg is not known as a team that turns the ball over. They're actually very much the opposite. They usually don't have a lot of turnovers. And that bodes very well with them in order to use their high-powered up-and-down-the-court style.
Jair McLeod cuts down the baseline for 2. And, boy, he just cut through the Mustang defense like butter there.
Yeah, very little resistance. Again, the inexperience of Wekiva not rotating properly on those quick passes.
Damani Nettles is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Jackets. Mustangs foul called against number 4, Q Roberson. That's his first personal foul, and it's the team's 3rd.
So Nettles has 1 point. This is 3rd and 4th free throw attempt. He has yet to attempt a field goal.
Jared Bryan in for the Mustangs. Over 2 at the line, so the Jackets will forfeit their opportunity to catch up with the Mustangs on that possession. Off the mark on the 3 from Hicks. Rebound goes to Nettles. In transition, not there. Air ball. Quincy Kelly into the game for the Jackets.
Is that a turnover? So just under 5 minutes here. Wekiva with a 16-14 lead. Again, if you just joined us, Wekiva is still seeking its first victory of the season. They are 0-4. 3 of the 4 losses came after Wekiva held a lead in the fourth quarter.
Hammond gets fouled. Foul is called against number 23, Jar McLeod. That's his first personal foul. And the team's 8th puts the Mustangs into bonus. At the line, shooting 1-1, Jamar Hammond.
And as you mentioned, Mark, when we started this quarter, Wekiva actually got into the bonus right before the start of this quarter.
Yeah, the Jackets have kept their noses pretty clean for the last 3.5 minutes, but here we'll get one, and that's going to go out of bounds off of DeAndre's sword, so the Mustangs will at least earn another possession off of this. They don't get anything else, but first we're going to pause for a timeout. The Mustangs request their first timeout of the game. 30-second timeout called by Wekiva. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. Wekiva on top by 2. Not a lot of offensive production going on so far in this game.
Wekiva caught a break there right before we went to the timeout. Ball bounced off Leesburg. See if they can take advantage of it, turn it into points.
A little too hot on the baseline jumper from Stokes. And the rebound's going to go to Mike Floyd. And Floyd gets called for traveling. Mustangs ball.
So again, Leesburg, I guess you would say, at least looking at the statistics through the first 4 games for Wekiva, a surprise here. And
yeah, Leesburg has committed just now their 10th turnover. And Leesburg is a 3-0 team going into this game. So we talked about the Metro versus Florida Challenge. That's where they picked up their first. So they are 3-0, Wekiva 0-4. And Neil, you and I have talked about this, and it feels like we're a broken record over the last several seasons. But Wekiva is a team that for the last several years has been better than their record. A lot of games coming down to very close scores. A lot of silly things causing the score not to turn out the Mustangs' way. And here we're going to get that's Hicks called for traveling. Jackets ball.
So only the 3rd turnover for Wekiva, which is actually where I was going. 10 turnovers for Leesburg, as you mentioned, Mark. Wekiva with only 3. And again, Leesburg only had a couple turnovers through the first 4 minutes of the ball game, and then Wekiva went to full court man-to-man defense, and since then they have had their issues holding on to the ball.
Held ball, possession, Jackets. Foul called against Mustangs, number 1, Donovan Stokes. His second, the team's 4th. Checking into the game for Wekiva, number 0, Tristan Bryan.
good play there, smart play by Leesburg going over the top. Unfortunately, Wekiva with great defense, saw great defense on the other end there. And there's where Leesburg's ability to get up and down the court quicker than most teams pays off.
Who got that? Putback is made by Akeem Nickerson. So good work by Nickerson under the basket, getting his own putback. The previous play, almost from this angle, looked like goaltending, but the referee was standing right under the basket, so I'll trust his judgment there. Traveling, Jackets ball. Well, Neil, you were just about to compliment the Mustangs on how good they were doing with the turnover ratio.
And now 2 in a row here. Well, the last one, actually it's 2 out of the last 3. They had that block on the last one. But I actually did compliment them. So, in the meantime, though, I do have to give them credit, though. They've held Leesburg to only 16 points. Anybody who follows Central Florida high school basketball knows Leesburg can put up 60 in a heartbeat.
Jair McLeod with the go-ahead basket.
Spinning field goal there. Nice job by McLeod to take advantage of what he was given by the Wekiva defense. And
Bryan spins, he'll take it himself. Tristan Bryan with a Mustang jump shot. Well, sometimes if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. It ties the game again at 18. Quincy Kelly to DeAndre Seward.
Too easy there, Mark, too easy. So again,
yeah, the Mustangs were trying to do something really cute on the outside, and while they were doing that, they left the paint unguarded.
Yeah, and again, this is a Wekiva team that returns no players who saw significant time from last season, and we're seeing that inexperience at the varsity level here. As you mentioned, Mark, what Wekiva just did, loading up on the outside but leaving the paint open is an inexperienced mistake.
And Coach Lubin wanted a delay of game warning against Leesburg for reaching out of bounds on the inbound, but
refs disagreed.
Well, yeah, the referee nearest the situation didn't call it. Bryan, jumper no good. Gets in there for his own rebound. He won't get it, but he will at least draw a foul. Tristan Bryan is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs. Foul is called against DeAndre Seward. His second personal foul, the team's 9th.
And that was a strong rebound there by Bryan. He got up high, not only good timing, but had to also use his physical upper body strength to corral that from 2 Leesburg players. Unfortunately, he can't take advantage of Leesburg's mistake there, turning it into points. So Bryan now has 4 points. He's 2 of 3 from the line, 1 of 3 from the field.
Bryan hits his second.
1:05 left here. Critical time for Wekiva, obviously, as we're going to get a huge break there. Another turnover.
Out of bounds, Mustangs ball.
Another unforced error.
Yeah, credit to Q Roberson there for getting in the way and causing general confusion, but really, you just got to give that as an unforced turnover to Floyd.
No, he gave the ball handlers some cause for concern, but he really wasn't crowding his space. And what I was going to say is this is a critical time for Wekiva.
Tristan Bryan is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs. 2 very well-earned free throws coming here to Bryan. Foul is called against number 23, Jair McLeod. That's his second personal foul, and the team's 10th.
So, again, critical time for Wekiva. Critical because obviously you want to go into the second half with some momentum. It'd be nice to take the lead. That momentum also means you're establishing your game and your strength. But Leesburg is the kind of team, if you give them a couple of opportunities, they can score 6, 8, 10 points just like that in 30 seconds. And suddenly the whole game, the feel of the game turns around at halftime.
So Bryan does give the Mustangs the lead on the 2 free throws again. That was really nice work by him in the paint. Jair McLeod with the basket and a chance to make it a 3-point play. The foul. Who was fouling? 11. Called against number 11, Jared Bryan. That's his first personal foul. And it's the team's 5th.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, Mark. Looked like Wekiva was starting to put together some momentum there. And we come down on the other end here. And McLeod does some dirty work inside. And suddenly, what was a 1-point lead? What was a lead for Wekiva? Now it can become a deficit, but grow here with the free throw.
Lane violation, Mustangs ball.
So fortunately, Wekiva again catches another break at the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, the basket would have been no good one way or the other, but the lane violation ensures that Wekiva gets the rebound.
And now Wekiva with the opportunity, if they so choose to use it.
Push is called against Jair McLeod. That's his 3rd personal foul. Mustangs now in double bonus. Tristan Bryan will shoot 2. So, Neil, something we haven't talked about here. Leesburg's up to 11 fouls now. You only have room for 10 at the bottom of your screen there, but that could come into play as they've got McLeod with 3 fouls in the books and Seward and Nettles have 2 each. And it's not an alarming situation yet, but that could catch up to them late in the game if it remains close.
Yeah, we mentioned Leesburg plays that up and down style even more so than most teams. And really, that can take a toll. Those fouls can take a toll because you're going to have to put new players in who aren't on the floor, who haven't got heated up, who don't have their heart beating.
Quincy Kelly is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Jackets. Fouls called against Mustangs number 0. Tristan Bryan, his first personal foul, and the team's 6th.
There's only 0.3 of a second left, Mark. I gotta always say, when you have 0.3 of a second left, not a smart call. It's highly unlikely you're going to be able to get a shot off.
No, and we only have 0.3 of a second left because I'm just so darned quick on the trigger finger for the scoreboard.
And again, free throws continue to leave the door open for Wekiva. Leesburg shooting under 10% as we go into the half.
That takes us to halftime, and we're going to go into the locker rooms with a tie ball game, 22-22. We end the half the same way we started it. We'll come back in about 10 minutes. The Mustangs have the opening possession of the second half. And welcome back to Mustang Arena. Mark Barchi, voice of the Mustangs, here with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. And Neil, we got a good one going on here.
Yeah, surprise, 22-22. And, you know, we talked at the opening, and I mentioned it a couple other times in the first half. Turnovers have really been the bugaboo for Wekiva. They're 0-4 in the last couple of games. That certainly have played a role against Boone on Saturday. They turned it over, I believe, 9 out of the last 10 possessions. Gave up a 5-point lead. Eventually lost by 10. But Leesburg has been Leesburg has been the team that has had trouble holding on to the ball. 13 turnovers compared to only 5 for Wekiva in that first half.
Yeah, and I have to believe that Coach Lubin, before this game, probably gave his team the advice that the key to this ball game is limiting Leesburg's offensive production. And here, well, that just wasn't what they were going for, as we're going to get a backcourt violation, Mustangs ball.
So 14 turnovers now. And again, it's not just the fact that Leesburg has turned the ball over 14 times compared to 5 for Wekiva, or, you know, Wekiva's only have 5. But the fact Leesburg is not a team that's known for turning the ball over. And in particular, they play, as we mentioned, this up-tempo, want to create pressure on the opposing offense style, get easy transition. And
yeah, all it takes is for you to fall asleep for about 90 seconds on this team, and they'll put together a 12-0 run on you. And here we're going to get 5 seconds closely guarded. Jackets ball. That'll go down as a steal for Mike Floyd against Jamaric Hammond.
And that's a good point there, Mark. The quickness with which Leesburg not only can score in bunches, but they can turn the feel and direction of a game around. But also the fact that Leesburg, in order to play the style I just described, you can't be turning the ball over. You won't score if you keep turning the ball over. So looking at the other stats, Leesburg has shot the ball very well. They've actually dropped a little bit. They were over 50% for most of that first half. They ended the first half at 48%, 10 of 21. They do have a Wekiva, only 28%. And again, that's another problem that Wekiva's had so far here early. They can't seem to make baskets.
Hugh Roberson for 3.
And maybe I should point that out more often, that they have a lousy field goal percentage. So a 22-11 advantage by Leesburg on the board, but the other advantage Wekiva has, besides
Hugh Roberson to Jared Bryan.
So the other advantage that Wekiva has besides the turnovers is at the free throw line. We talked about this, 6 of 9 for Wekiva, only 1 of 7 for Leesburg. That's 5 extra points.
Hold is called against number 12, Nikhil Edward. That's his first personal foul. The team's first this half. Spin and off the mark on the short jumper. Gets his own putback, though. And he'll draw the foul there. That's John McLeod, fouled on the second chance attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Jackets. Jared Bryan is called for the Mustangs foul. That's his second personal. And it's the team's second as well.
So we talked about this in the first half. Wekiva was in the bonus for the entire second quarter. And even though Leesburg, as you said, behaved themselves, they actually didn't commit a foul for about 4 minutes. Obviously, Wekiva got that advantage, as I explained, 5 more points. But they also come into the second half with an advantage as far as the attrition.
All right, so 1 for 2 at the line for McLeod. Draws it back to a 4-point ball game after the Mustangs opened the quarter 5-0. Roberson to the paint. It's in there. Hugh Roberson floats one up for 2.
So Wekiva actually comes out with their lead being increased by 1 more point on that exchange of possessions.
Rough pass, and it's Going to be good defense by the Mustangs. I'm not going to charge him with a turnover for that. I'm going to give him a deflection instead. So he was out of bounds on the steal. That was Donovan Stokes who got in there and disrupted that play.
Both teams man-to-man. And again, we talked about the styles both these teams play. And really to play the style they do, which is an up-tempo. Of course, as we mentioned, most teams play up-tempo, but both these teams are even more up-tempo than the average nowadays. And in order to do that, you got to go man-to-man defense.
I don't know what that was all about.
Well, from the Wekiva perspective, it was about a missed field goal.
Yeah, Edward gets the rebound. Hammond getting double-teamed there. And, oh, boy, that was close. Good work there by McLeod. And it's Hugh Roberson, 3. Well, you want to talk about turning around a bad situation.
Yeah, good job there by Wekiva to keep their poise and their wits about them. Found Robertson with an open lane.
Yeah, that was a possession that was very quickly unraveling. Mustang foul is called against number 11, Jared Bryan. That's his third personal foul, and the team's third.
So I just mentioned about a minute ago, Wekiva came into the second half with a huge advantage in free throws. Not only the fact they were able to score 5 more points because of fouls, but also the attrition factor. Now they have 3 fouls here in the
early. It's about to be 4. Jared McLeod is fouled on the attempt to go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against Donovan Stokes. His third personal foul and the team's 4th.
So Wekiva now up to 4 fouls. Leesburg has yet to commit a foul.
Checking into the game for the Mustangs, Tristan Bryan.
And McLeod has 9 points. He's 4 of 9 from the field. Now, of course, 1 of 4 from the free throw line. Again, not only did Wekiva score 5 more points at the free throw line in the first half because they took more attempts, but they also shot the ball much better, 6 of 9 compared to 1 of 7 for Leesburg. Of course, now Leesburg is 2 of 8. That's 25%. And Leesburg's going to remain in the full court man-to-man. Wekiva's a team that goes more back and forth between full court and half court man-to-man.
Offensive foul is called against Tristan Bryan, his second, the team's 5th. And now, Neil, if you look at those foul markers at the bottom of your screen there, they are all on Wekiva's side. 5-0, the foul differential for the second half. And it's just the opposite of what we saw in the first.
Yeah, Wekiva's given up that advantage. They have not given up the turnover advantage.
No, so the Mustangs still in this thing in spite of the foul issue. Bryan on the pass to Nikhil Edward for 2. Timeout, Jackets. "30-second timeout requested by Leesburg." We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. 3:47 to go here in the third. Mustangs on a 10-point advantage here in the third quarter, and they have a 12-2 run going against the Jackets.
And again, Mark, looking at the field goal percentage here real quick, Leesburg continues to drop. They broke out shooting about 75%, 3 of 4. Since then, they dropped to 48 at halftime and now down to 42.
Hey, guess what, Neil? Traveling Mustangs ball. It's another turnover.
So 42% from the field for Leesburg. That continues to drop. Wekiva actually made a pretty significant jump, going from 28 to 39 in the first 4 minutes of the second half. And the other big advantage Wekiva's held throughout this game is turnovers. Leesburg now up to 18 with that last turnover.
No basket, traveling Jackets ball. Yeah, that was about half a step too much. Yeah, Coach Lubin doesn't like that call,
but yeah, it was the correct call. And now Wekiva is going full court man-to-man as well.
Under 3 to play here in the third. Good pass, and it converts. Hakeem Nickerson on the basket. Pass came from number 20, and Damani Nettles.
Yeah, that was just a really good pass there by Leesburg. Did a good job of breaking down that perimeter and getting an open lane there.
Tristan Bryan picks up 2 for the Mustangs.
It's a nice, smooth drive to the lane there. Good timing. Got into the lane and went up at the right time there. And a nice soft touch off the backboard by Bryant. That's a hard shot to make there, even though under the basket, the angle.
Hammond's got an open Roberson. Oh, it's short. Good look, though.
And Wekiva's getting a lot more open looks here in the second half.
Yeah, you got to say that, I mean, having watched the Mustangs' first 4 games, and now this is their 5th one, there's a lot to like about the way the Mustangs are playing in this one. I mean, obviously, Leesburg is committing their share of unforced errors, but the Mustangs have largely been frustrating them here as putback is made by Damani Nettles. And Leesburg, to your point, I mean, they're not doing anything wrong on the shooting percentage side. When they are actually able to get all the way down and take a shot, they're doing well. Damani Nettles steals 2 for the Jackets. As they demonstrate right there, they've cut it back to a 6-point lead. But the Mustangs so far, the last couple of possessions notwithstanding, have been denying them the opportunity to even take those shots in the first place, either through turnovers or just from denying the inside. Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah, at that last timeout, Wekiva had 31 field goal attempts compared to 24.
Traveling, Jackets ball, checking into the game for the Mustangs, number 23, Jalen Hicks.
And as we get to the end of the third quarter here, Mark, this is the time of the game from about 2 minutes left in the third quarter where Wekiva has lost all 3 of their games. Again, as we mentioned, Wekiva 0-4, but 3 of those 4 losses, they held the lead late in the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. Turnovers started to mount.
Jair McLeod on the pass to Hakeem Nickerson. So now the Jackets on something of a run here to finish the quarter out.
Yeah, and guess what? They've scored 6 consecutive. Wekiva's turned the ball over on 3 consecutive possessions.
And just before he loses the ball, Mustangs call timeout. Full timeout requested by Wekiva. scoreboard too if you need it.
Right here, this is good? Yeah. It says 3-2, 3-3.
All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. 10 seconds to go in the third.
Critical possession here for Wekiva. You want to stop that bleeding, but you also want to take some momentum into the fourth quarter. And you want to be able to give Leesburg concerned about defending Wekiva's strengths.
They can only get 230, right? 230. They can get 230. 230 free pools. Yes,
That takes us to the end of the third period. All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. The Jackets have the opening possession of the fourth period. All right, we got a close one here, Neil. It looks like it's going to be a photo finish. Now, this is going to be the test for the Mustangs. This is what they were not able to do against Boone on Saturday, and that is to keep that stamina to finish. We'll see if they can do it today.
Yeah, again, we've talked about it numerous times. I believe 8 turnovers on their last 10 possessions against Boone. They came out, they've held the ball very well in that first quarter. Of course, now they've had some problems in the third quarter still.
Mike Floyd is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot two. The foul is called against Tristan Bryan. His third personal foul, the team's 6th.
So still an 18-10 advantage by Wekiva in the turnovers, and really none of the other stats have changed. Leesburg shooting the ball, pretty much what you would expect from them, 47%, just under 50, 14 of 30 from the field. The weakness has been beyond the tray, only 1 of 7 there. Wekiva still shooting cold, 38%, 13 of 34. They were 39 at half. Wekiva actually does have a 3-point advantage at the free throw line, making 6 compared to 3 for Leesburg. Leesburg, of course, as we mentioned, not a very good free throw shooting team. Only 3 of 11, so certainly not taking advantage of their opportunities at the line, leaving points on the table. Wekiva 6 of 9, and Leesburg with a 27-13 advantage on the boards.
Checking into the game for the Mustangs, Jerry Bryan.
So Leesburg continues to commit turnovers here.
Well, in that case, it was a missed shot.
Yes, in that case it was, but again, Leesburg enters this fourth quarter with 18 turnovers.
Stokes for 3, too hot. Rebound this time falls to Floyd. Floyd trips and gives the ball away to Tristan Bryan. And we got a Mustang down. Pause for an official timeout.
Yeah, Robertson there took several seconds to get up.
Yeah, look, he looks okay. Looks like he got the wind knocked out of him. Jamara Campbell in for the Mustangs. Of course, most coaches would make this decision anyway, but it is a mandatory substitution if the official stops play for you, just as it is in football. Pause and mop up the sweat that Roberson left behind.
So again, Mark, going all the way back to the beginning of the game, Wekiva fell behind 9-0. They then went ahead 11, I believe it was 11 to 10, maybe 13 to 10, and they've held the lead since then. We're now seeing Leesburg rally here. They've cut the lead all the way from 10 to 2.
Yep, and they also now, the Jackets have bonus in their favor. They have not committed any fouls of their own in this half, so that could become an obstacle as Isaiah Laster for 3 from Stokes.
Well, it's been a few possessions since we've seen that ball rotation inside, outside, and around the perimeter.
There's a good deflection by Hammond. It'll stay with the Jackets, though. And yeah, normally that's the play we see from Roberson. He's the one who just came out of the game after face planting on the previous possession. It's nice to see that kind of action coming from Laster as well.
And again, Mark, just want to mention this is the critical time of the game for Wekiva. They've had a lead for most of the third quarter in their three of the 4 losses, and then lost that lead either late in the third quarter or early in the fourth.
Fouls called against number 10, Akeem Nickerson. The second, the team's first this half.
21 turnovers for Leesburg. So again, Wekiva with only 10. That's got to be a good sign, win, lose, or draw here for Coach Lubin and his staff.
Yeah, certainly you like to believe that if you can hold Leesburg and all of their scoring firepower to less than 40, you'd feel pretty good about your odds here. Blocked out of bounds by McLeod. Checking into the game for the Mustangs, Q Roberson.
So again, mentioned it several times tonight, but Leesburg is a multiple state champion. Leesburg remains in man-to-man defense here. Again, the style they play, it'd be a tremendous shock to see him play anything other than man-to-man.
5 seconds closely guarded. Jackets ball, returning to the game for the Mustangs, Tristan Bryan.
And Wekiva is going to answer Leesburg. They're in full court man-to-man as well.
Good inside pass, and it's in there. That's Akeem Nickerson from Damani Nettles.
And as you mentioned, Mark, the pass set up that basket. Nice over the top there. Good defense, but even better pass and offense by Leesburg to get that open shot created.
Fouls called against number 20, Damani Nettles. His third personal, the team's second this half. So now the Jackets finally putting some numbers on that foul column on the scoreboard.
We're under 5 minutes here.
One possession ball game now, thanks to that assisted basket down the baseline on the previous play. That's a play we saw before. Leesburg has pulled that one off successfully a couple of times on the Mustangs. So Bryan swing to Hammond, back to Bryan. Mustangs looking for their opportunity.
And Wekiva is now playing with a much more deliberate pace. The pace hasn't really slowed down. The ball's being moved very quickly, but it's a more thinking
yeah, Coach
element.
Lubin pulls the ripcord here probably sooner than he needed to, but it was probably the right call. Full timeout requested by the Mustangs. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. Now, something that we didn't mention earlier is that Wekiva has now spent all but one of their timeouts. So if this does come down to a photo finish, that could be a factor.
Yeah, 4:19 left, and Wekiva with 6 fouls. Again, we talked about the advantage Wekiva had going to the line in the first half. That's completely shifted to Leesburg. 6 of 9 for Wekiva in the first half. They've yet to take one in the second.
Hakeem Nickerson is called on his third personal foul. It's the team's third this half.
Fortunately for Wekiva, Leesburg is not a very good free throw shooting team. They've actually overtaken Wekiva in attempts at 13-9, but they've only made 5. So 8 points have been left on the table. By
Brian getting
Leesburg.
double teamed here. He's in trouble trying to get out of it, and he turns the ball over. He was going to get a 5-second call anyway in about another half a second.
Both teams have remained about the same throughout the game as far as field goal percentage. 44 for Leesburg, 38 for Wekiva.
Foul is called against Mustangs number 4, Q Roberson. That's his second personal foul. And the team's 7th that puts the Jackets into bonus. Hakeem Nickerson shooting 1-1.
And again, we have mentioned the big statistic, which really has worked to Wekiva's favor and allowed them to take and keep a lead, is turnovers. They still have a 19-12 advantage, but that advantage was much bigger about 3 minutes ago.
All right, the fourth quarter has been the Achilles heel for Wekiva. We'll see if they can make it happen today. One possession ball game. Full court man-to-man, as you mentioned, Neil.
Yeah, again, Mark, following up on your point there, Wekiva's lost 4 games. 3 of the 4, they've had the lead late in the third.
Block by Kelly. He also picks up the rebound for the Jackets. Opportunity to tie or take the lead on this possession.
So 3:15 left here. Wekiva trying to break a 4-game losing streak. And again, they're going to have to do it with their defense. They've played well throughout the game, but now it's a critical point.
No basket prior to the shot. Tristan Bryan is called on the block. It's his 4th personal foul. The team's 8th. Hey, wiggle that cord for me, please. Thank you.
And we got some discussion between Coach Lubin and the ref to our left here. Again, as you mentioned, Mark, that's the 4th foul for Bryan. So Leesburg was able to get out of that first half, and they've, to their credit, have done a good job of minimizing all the foul damage which could have been caused with all the fouls that they committed in the first half. Now Wekiva finds itself in that same possession with 3 minutes and 8 seconds left here in the second half.
So they're signaling that that was a shooting foul, and this is going to be 2 shots. I'm not entirely sure where that comes from, because as of the moment of the foul, Floyd was trying to pass to Nickerson, and Nickerson's shot ended up being waved off because of the foul that occurred prior to the pass. But I mean, it would have been we would have been shooting anyway because it's bonus. The only difference is if he misses the first one, does he get a second one? We'll see if it makes a difference. Now he hits the first one, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
And Floyd now has 7 points. He's 2 of 4 from the field, 3 of 3 at the free throw line. As we mentioned, Leesburg not a good shooting team from the stripe, but Floyd, of course, has been making 4 of 4 now. So they followed the one player that you don't want to.
Full timeout requested by Leesburg. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. 39-39. We're all knotted up. With 3:08 to go here in the ball game. And Neil, this has been a series of runs as the momentum has swung back and forth between these two teams since halftime. We started with a Wekiva run that was answered with a Leesburg run, and now we're back to where we started.
Yeah, and again, turnovers have been what have sparked or propelled those runs. Just real quick, I know I've talked about it all night. Leesburg has had trouble holding on to the ball. They actually have turned the ball over 19 times compared to Wekiva's 12. So Wekiva still has a fairly large advantage, but that advantage was even higher about 4 minutes ago. It was over 10 for most of the game. And I just wanted to point out Wekiva turned over the ball 4 times in the last 2.5 minutes or so of the third quarter, and that really took that advantage from over 10 to under 10.
Foul is called against number 10, Hakeem Nickerson. His 4th personal foul, the team's 4th. All right, so still 2 more fouls to give for the Jackets. That could come into play as well. And I heard Coach Campbell say that's a bad foul. I'm not sure if he was speaking to the official's judgment or to his player's judgment, but I would almost disagree there that you actually don't want fouls to give. If it comes down to it and you have to put Wekiva at the free throw line, you don't want to have to foul 3 times to make that happen.
Yeah, and again, getting back to what I was saying about the turnover advantage being under 10.
Look at the skill there. Offensive foul is called against number 23, Jyree McLeod. It's his 4th personal foul, the team's 5th. Checking into the game for the Mustangs.
And so going back to what I was saying, Mark, 4 turnovers in the last 2.5 minutes by Wekiva. That reduced the deficit from over 10 to an under 10. But Wekiva turned the ball over on the last 2 possessions of the third quarter. That's important because it gave Leesburg 2 more possessions. They scored on both of those, and they entered this 4th quarter, obviously with momentum. But they had also established their strength, which is playing their style. The up-tempo, get it up as fast as you can.
All right, so Coach Campbell is going to argue the merits of that offensive foul. And the Mustangs are going to kind of take it as a free timeout, which frankly they could use one.
Yeah, again, Leesburg, they like to play the up-tempo style, which is nothing out of the ordinary in today's game. They just play it even more up-tempo than the average team.
Now, the other thing I'm going to argue, obviously, you don't want the turnover, and the turnover inevitably comes with an offensive foul, but it may work out to Leesburg's favor that they now only have 1 foul to give if it comes down to it in the last minute and 46 seconds here. Donovan Stokes is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs. Foul is called against number 15, Mike Floyd. That's his 3rd personal foul. And the team's 6th. And again, Coach Campbell disagrees, but them's the breaks. Stokes at the line. Opportunity to go ahead, and he does.
And we've mentioned throughout the game here, or the second half, Wekiva had a distinctive advantage with free throw and getting to the free throw line in the first half, shooting 6 of 9. Leesburg was 1 of 7, but that's completely turned around. Those 2 free throws by Stokes were the only 2 Wekiva's taken here in the second half.
Foul is called against Jared Bryan on the rebound. That's his 4th personal foul, the team's 9th, and it is going to put Jyree McLeod at the free throw line, shooting bonus, 1-1. So now McLeod has an opportunity to tie or take the lead here at the charity stripe. And Neil, you mentioned that Leesburg has had a mediocre night at the free throw line. We'll see if they can improve when it counts. First is good, he earns another.
So McLeod now with 11 points. He is 3 of 6 from the free throw line, 4 of 11 from the field.
Misses the second, and the rebound goes to the Mustangs. Donovan Stokes got that one. Coach Campbell wanted a timeout if he could have had one, but you have to have the possession or a dead ball in order to do that, and Stokes deprived him of that opportunity. There's a deflection. Mustangs stay in control thanks to the quick feet of Jared Bryan.
Yeah, Bryan with great hustle there. And now Wekiva smartly resets.
I'll point out that in the interest of getting us to dinner on time, we'd really like this to not end in a tie. And a foul on the rebound. Jared Bryan is called on the Mustangs foul. That's his 5th personal foul, and he'll retire from the game with 4 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist for the Mustangs. And that is also the team's 10th foul at the line, shooting double bonus to Monty Nettles.
So
Nettles hits the verse to go ahead.
And Nettles now up to 6 points. He's 2 of 5 from the free throw line. And Leesburg has not led since about towards the end of the first quarter. They took a 9-0 lead, and then Wekiva stormed back to score, I believe it was 13 of the next 15 points at the end of the first quarter.
30-second timeout called by the Jackets. We'll be right back with the exciting conclusion. All right, Mustangs will have the ball. Free run of their own baseline. 1:04 to go. Down by 2.
And we've talked about the turnover throughout the whole game as Leesburg remains in the full court man-to-man. To Leesburg's credit, they have been able to stay close enough to mount this rally and eventually take the lead with about a minute left because they've minimized those turnovers. They had 18 after 3 quarters. They have committed only 2 in the fourth quarter. Wekiva had 10 at the end of 3 quarters. They've committed 4 here in the fourth quarter.
Roberson gets into trouble, and Coach Lubin has no choice. Wekiva will spend their final timeout, full timeout, called by the Mustangs. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. The Mustangs now have no timeouts remaining. Neither team has a foul to give. We're going to shoot on any foul. Mustangs down by 2, 40 seconds to go. Nice cut. Waits his turn, and it's in there. Mustang basket by Nikhil Edward.
Beautiful pass there, great rotation. Use the sideline as their friends. And again, Wekiva with 4 turnovers in this fourth quarter, 2 for Leesburg.
Traveling Mustangs ball.
And well, Mark, I talked before that half and before that timeout and into this one. Leesburg had done an excellent job of minimizing the damage. And no sooner do I say that than they commit a traveling, unintentional unforced error.
So now the Mustangs have an opportunity to seal a victory here if they could score on this possession and then stop the Jackets. No timeouts left. They got to score or nothing. Roberson gets blocked, and he gets fouled. Q Roberson is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs. Foul is called against Damani Nettles. That's his 4th personal foul and the team's 7th. All right, Neil, well, this is where legends are made.
Yeah,
we talked about the inexperience and the youth of this team.
This certainly would be a huge step here if Robertson could get both these free throws. Of course, remember, Leesburg gets that ball up the court very quickly.
Oh, yeah, 4.6 seconds is not a trivial amount of time. First one's good. Mustangs take the lead.
Beautiful stroke there. And again, Wekiva got to the line 9 times in the first half, 6 of 9. They actually got there more than Leesburg, and they had a 5-point advantage. This is only their 3rd and 4th free throw attempt here in the second half.
All right, and so the Jackets are going to try to ice the shooter here. Full timeout requested by and granted to the Jackets. All right, we got a real pressure cooker going on here. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Mustang Arena. No pressure here.
And also mention, Mark, only 4 attempts in the first quarter. That's the first by Robertson.
Out of bounds. Mustangs ball. And you saw Edward there trying so hard to keep his feet planted to avoid getting called on the block because it would have been a double bonus situation. Coach Campbell wanted the foul called, but it's a no call.
And, well, very chaotic and controversial if you're Coach Campbell, the Yellowjackets coach. But, again, Robertson made one of the 2 free throws. Those were his first 2 that he's taken the whole game. And just going back there, he did an excellent job of drawing the contact, lowering that shoulder, and leading into the defense. Saw the defense off balance and took advantage of it exactly the way that coaches teach a player.
So, of course, it would be extraordinary to see a change in call at this point, and the head official here is saying, like, okay, it's settled. There's no more arguing about it. Mustangs ball, 9/10 of a second left. This one's pretty much in the can if the Mustangs do anything but throw it away.
And there it is.
That's the end of the ball game, and it's a 1-point victory. The Mustangs 43, the Jackets 42. What a finish. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming out tonight to spend part of your Monday evening with us. 43-42 is the final score here at Mustang Arena. Thanks also to those of you who joined us online on our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports. Please drive carefully and arrive home safely. Have a great night.